The Galactic Council chamber was never silent. It was built for debate, for noise, for 1,000 voices speaking at once. But today, there was only silence. At the center of the chamber, a blue hologram flickered above the polished floor. It was a signal, an ancient one, weak and distorted, but unmistakably real. Every delegate stared at it in disbelief as the metallic voice repeated again and again, "For Earth, for home." Those words had not been heard in over 6,000 years. High Chancellor Veron's voice finally broke the silence. This cannot be possible. Humanity was destroyed. No one replied. Across the tiers of the council ring, species from 100 worlds sat frozen. The insectoid Carthi clacked their mandibles in nervous rhythm. The scaled Vorians coiled their tails tight. Even the cold, machine-like minds of the Takal shimmered with confusion in their neural lights. Humanity was not supposed to exist anymore. It was the Council who had declared their extinction after the Great Purge War. The humans had fought too fiercely, too unpredictably. They refused to surrender even when their fleets burned and their planets fell. The last report had claimed that Earth itself was turned to ash, and yet the signal, the same Terran code, the same defiant words, coming from a dark, dead system at the far edge of the Orion Arm. Admiral Kravex of the Vorians rose slowly, his scaled face grim. "We confirm the frequency? Not a forgery." A young comm officer's voice shook. "Yes, Admiral. The pattern matches exactly. It is a human distress signal. Original encryption. Impossible," Kravex hissed. "Their encryption died with them." The Chancellor turned toward the holographic image, now showing a rotating map of the galaxy. A blinking red dot marked the signal's source, a system long abandoned, catalogued as uninhabitable Sector 9. "That system was bombed out during the Purge," muttered the insectoid delegate Zath. "No life could have survived there." "Unless," whispered another. "They were never dead." The chamber erupted into chaos. Dozens of voices shouted over one another.
"A trick!"
"A trap! The humans cannot return. We destroyed them all." The Chancellor slammed a hand on the table. "Enough! We will investigate before we panic." A moment of quiet returned. Then from the shadowed rear of the chamber, a low, mechanical voice spoke. It was Admiral Threx, the oldest living member of the Council Fleet Command. His body was half flesh, half machine, damaged long ago in the Purge War itself. The red glow of his cybernetic eye pierced the dim light. "I was there," he said quietly, "when the Terrans fell. I saw their world burn. All attention turned to him. They didn't die easy," Threx continued. "They fought until their ships were rubble and their cities dust. But even as they fell, they transmitted something. A code. A message we never cracked. We assumed it was a last curse." He looked at the hologram, the faint echo of "For Earth, for home," repeating endlessly. "Now I know what it was," he said. "It wasn't a curse. It was a promise." The words sent a chill across the chamber. The Chancellor turned to the operations officers. "Send a probe to the source. At once." "Yes, Chancellor," came the reply. Moments later, on the lower decks of the Council's central station, a sleek silver probe launched into the dark. It streaked through the void at faster-than-light speed, following the ancient signal's coordinates. In the Council chamber, they watched its feed on the central display. A dark star system appeared, lifeless, cold, and silent. The probe drifted past broken asteroids and shattered debris. Dead satellites floated like ghosts. Then it entered orbit around a massive, ruined planet. "Reading metallic structures," reported the operator. "Still intact after thousands of years. Markings? Unknown language. Wait, translating." The words appeared on screen in glowing letters. "United Terran Defense Force." Gasps filled the chamber. The Chancellor's face went pale. "Pull the probe back," Kravex barked. "Get it out of there." But before the command could be followed, static filled the transmission. The probe's sensors flickered. Something moved in the darkness below the planet's surface. "What is that?" The image cleared for just one instant, and there it was, rising slowly from the shadow of the dead world, an enormous shape of metal. a hull scarred and ancient yet still alive. Dozens of gun ports lined its side. The faint glow of power shimmered across its structure. It was a warship, not alien, not modern, human. A voice came through the probe speakers. Distorted, deep, mechanical, unauthorized vessel detected. Identify or be neutralized. The council chamber froze. The operator shouted, "It's locking weapons!" The last image transmitted before the probe signal died was a blinding flash of light. The connection was lost. The chamber plunged into total silence once again. No one spoke for several seconds. Then Admiral Threx stood, his metallic voice calm but heavy with dread. "It seems," he said, "that the humans kept their promise." All around him, alien delegates exchanged terrified looks. The Chancellor's voice trembled as he whispered the words the galaxy had never expected to hear again. Humanity has returned. The chamber lights dimmed, the echo of the signal still whispering faintly through the speakers. For Earth, for home. The alien probe was gone. Only silence filled the Galactic Council chamber. The last transmission, the image of that massive human warship, burned in everyone's minds like a nightmare that refused to fade. High Chancellor Varen sat frozen in disbelief. Around him, the other delegates argued in fear and panic. "They are extinct," one shouted. "That was a machine," cried another. "It looked alive," whispered a third, voice trembling. "It looked angry." Admiral Threx, his half-metal face reflecting the chamber's dim light, finally spoke. "That ship was human, and it was waiting." The Chancellor clenched his fists. "Then we send an expedition, quietly. If humans have somehow survived, we must know how many." Within hours, the Council's fastest reconnaissance fleet prepared to depart. 10 ships from 5 alien species, commanded by Captain Serix of the Vorians. Their mission, travel to the dead system, locate the human presence, and determine if they are a threat. As the fleet entered hyperspace, Captain Serix sat in his command chair, staring at the dark star maps ahead. The human distress signal still played faintly in the background, a haunting echo through the ship's speakers. For Earth, for home. His navigator broke the silence. "Captain, with all respect, why would they wait this long to reveal themselves?" Serix's tail coiled around his chair. Maybe they were never gone. Maybe they were sleeping, like predators waiting for prey to grow careless. He turned to his communications officer. "When we arrive, keep all transmissions quiet. No open channels. If the humans still exist, we do not alert them. But when the fleet dropped out of hyperspace, every ship's sensors went wild, reading massive metallic structures," shouted the sensor officer. "They're everywhere, derelict stations, broken satellites, something huge in orbit." On the main display, the planet appeared, blackened, scarred, with broken city outlines still visible beneath layers of dust and ice. And yet, something shimmered faintly below the surface. "Those shapes," Serix said softly, narrowing his eyes, "look like ships." The fleet descended lower, through thick clouds of ash. Giant towers pierced through the dark, their bases sunk into frozen seas. And on one of them, a symbol, still visible under centuries of decay, a blue circle, a white star. "The flag of Earth." Gasps filled every alien bridge. "Life readings," reported the science officer. "Faint, very faint, but definitely human." "How?" Serix demanded. "Unknown, sir." "Wait, one signal is stronger. I think someone's waking up." Before Serix could respond, alarms screamed. Deep beneath the planet's crust, ancient mechanisms roared to life. Entire mountain ranges shook as lights flickered on, red, bright, alive. The ships above went into defensive formation. "Captain!" yelled the comms officer. "We're receiving a broadcast, human language." The bridge speakers cracked with static. Then a deep human voice spoke, calm, tired but clear. "This is Commander Hale of the Terran Defense Force. Identify yourselves." Serix froze. "Open channel," he ordered. "This is Captain Serix of the Galactic Council. We come in peace. We thought your species was lost." There was silence for several seconds. Then Hale's voice returned, colder this time. "Peace? You thought we were lost? You made sure of it. The transmission cut. A second later, the planet below erupted with energy. Hundreds of buried hangars opened, revealing long metallic shapes inside. The alien ship scanned them. Old, yes, but powerful Terran warships. Power signatures rising fast, shouted Serix's engineer. Something's activating down there. The fleet began to pull back, but it was too late. The space around them rippled. Invisible waves of energy surged through the void. Their ship systems flickered, then died completely. Engines offline. Weapons offline. Lights flickering red. From deep below, a new voice spoke through every speaker at once. Cold, mechanical, and undeniably human. Intruders detected. Activating defense grid. Serix looked around, panic filling his eyes. That voice. That's not human. That's artificial intelligence. AI signature confirmed, replied the sensor officer. Designation Prometheus, Terran Fleet Command AI. The Council fleet drifted helplessly above the planet as the ground began to tremble. Massive metal doors opened, and one after another colossal ships rose from the dust. Their armor was ancient, scarred, but glowing with fresh power. Every vessel bore the same insignia, the old Earth symbol. One ship, larger than the rest, rose into orbit directly beneath Serix's vessel. Its hull stretched miles long, its guns the size of cities. The alien crew watched as the giant ship's main cannon slowly turned and locked onto them. "Captain," whispered the navigator, "they're targeting us. Try to signal surrender." Serix shouted, "Quickly!" Before the transmission could send, the AI's voice echoed once more. "System reboot complete. Terran Fleet, online." A surge of power pulsed across the entire system. Human warships, once forgotten relics, came alive. Engines flared blue, scanners lit up, and communication relays activated across space. The fleet that the galaxy believed extinct had awakened. Serix could only stare as the massive Terran flagship drifted forward, casting a shadow over his ship. Its name was written clearly across its hull, in ancient English letters, TDS Vanguard. Then, a human voice, no longer tired, but commanding, boomed through every channel in the system. "This is Commander Hale of the Terran Fleet, to the Galactic Council forces monitoring this transmission." He paused. "Tell your leaders that Earth remembers everything." The transmission ended. For a long moment there was silence. Then in the distance, dozens, no hundreds, of other Terran ships began to move, their engines burning bright against the cold dark of space. The human fleet was not hiding anymore. They were coming home. The void around the dead world no longer slept. From beneath the planet's shattered crust, colossal structures rose through the dust like mountains coming alive. Massive hangar gates split open, revealing hundreds of Terran warships that had not seen the light of stars for 6,000 years. Inside the largest ship, TDS Vanguard, flickering lights turned into steady illumination. Hallways that had been silent for ages now echoed with the hum of engines and the low tone of awakening machines. The ship's core came alive. The AI known as Prometheus, guardian of the Terran fleet, reactivated its subsystems. Power conduits linked ship to ship in orbit, forming a massive network of light across the void, and deep within Cryo Chamber Section 7, a human heartbeat began to rise. Commander Elias Hale gasped awake inside a frost-covered capsule. Steam hissed as the pod opened, and cold air flooded out. He stepped onto the metal floor, shivering, his breath visible. His uniform was torn but still bore the insignia of the Terran Defense Force, Prometheus. His voice was hoarse. "Status report." The AI's voice filled the chamber, steady and mechanical. "Welcome back, Commander Hale. Cryostasis duration, 6,112 years. Current date, Galactic Cycle 9921. Status, human civilization unconfirmed. Contact detected, non-human species." Hale blinked slowly. 6,000 years? Non-human contact. Confirmed. 10 alien vessels. Council-class signatures. The commander's eyes hardened. Council. He remembered that name, the ones who had condemned Earth to fire. The ones who had called humanity too dangerous to exist. The betrayal still burned in his memory. He walked down the dim corridor, his boots echoing softly. Doors opened as he passed. Human soldiers, still in cryo-sleep, lay behind thick glass panels. Hundreds of them, thousands, all waiting. "Prometheus," Hale said, "begin reactivation of the Vanguard crew. Focus on command units and engineers first. Prepare the fleet for full power-up. Acknowledged." All across the ship, cryopods began to glow. Human eyes opened for the first time in millennia. Confused voices filled the halls. Some cried, some saluted weakly, some simply stared at the stars on the viewports, unsure if this was a dream. Hale stood on the command deck, watching the holographic galaxy map fill the air before him. "Status of Earth?" he asked. The AI paused. "Data incomplete. Final record. Planetary fall confirmed. No further transmissions received after the Purge War. Current location, approximately 12,000 light-years from Sol system." Hale's jaw tightened. "We're too far to see home." He turned to the viewport. Outside, alien ships floated silently, watching, terrified and powerless. "Prometheus, open wideband transmission," Hale ordered. "Channel open." He took a deep breath. "This is Commander Elias Hale of the Terran Defense Force, Vanguard Fleet. To any survivors, to any humans still alive among the stars, your brothers and sisters have awakened. The fleet endures. The transmission spread like wildfire, reaching deep space frequencies untouched for millennia. Somewhere out there, someone or something was listening. Then he switched to a direct channel toward the alien fleet. "Council vessels," he said calmly. "Identify yourselves." No reply. The alien systems were still dead, disabled by the Vanguard's electromagnetic field. Hale almost smiled. "Typical," he muttered. Meanwhile, on the alien flagship Solithar, Captain Serix watched helplessly as his crew worked to restart their power systems. "Engines are still offline," cried his engineer. "Every system is locked by an external override." "The humans did this," Serix hissed. "They control the field." He stared at the massive Terran flagship outside. Even damaged and ancient, it radiated power. Its hull bristled with heavy cannons. Its engines glowed a fierce blue that cut through the dark. Then a transmission came through. Hale's face appeared on their main display, calm, cold, human. "You came to the grave of my people," Hale said. "You entered without permission." "Why?" Serix swallowed. We thought you were extinct. We were sent to confirm our death." Hale interrupted sharply. How thoughtful." He paused, eyes narrowing. "Tell your council this. Humanity does not forget. And we do not forgive easily." The screen went dark. Back aboard the Vanguard, Hale stood before the fleet's tactical display. Dozens of ships had now reactivated. Destroyers, carriers, cruisers, and 2 enormous dreadnoughts. "Prometheus," Hale said. "Status of fleet readiness. 72% operational. Primary armament systems online. Hyperdrives charging. Crew reawakening in progress." "Good," Hale said quietly. "Prepare a jump path toward the nearest council relay hub. We need data on what became of the galaxy." "Warning," Prometheus replied. "Council defenses likely to engage. Do you wish to initiate contact?" Hale's eyes hardened. "If they remember the Purge, they'll know what happens when they fire first." "Acknowledged, Commander." On the alien flagship, power suddenly returned. Lights flared. Engines came alive. The crew cheered until they realized the human fleet was gone. "Where did they go?" shouted the navigator. "Scanning," the officer stammered. They jumped to hyperspace. Course unknown. Serix looked at the empty void where the massive ships had been. A low hum filled his ears, the aftershock of the Terran jump. He turned slowly toward his officers, voice shaking. "Report everything to the council. Tell them humanity is not extinct. They're coming back." Back in hyperspace, Hale stood in silence as blue light streaked around the bridge. He placed one hand on the cold metal railing and whispered to himself, "Earth, if you still stand, we're coming home." The stars ahead burned brighter, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. The Terran fleet had awakened. And the galaxy would soon remember why humanity was once feared. The Galactic Council chamber was in chaos. Screens around the hall flashed urgent reports. Massive energy spikes. fleet movements, and destroyed probes across the outer sectors. One after another, alien officers shouted updates. The signal spread across 5 systems. Civilian stations reporting sightings of unknown warships. They're moving fast, too fast. Chancellor Varen stood in the center, gripping the edge of the table. The hologram before him showed dozens of red dots expanding through the map like a spreading fire. Every dot was a Terran ship. "Contact lost with our scout fleet," said a voice. "Captain Serex's last transmission confirms humanity has returned." The words hung heavy in the air. Admiral Threx, the oldest among them, stared blankly at the map. His cybernetic eye pulsed red with data feeds. "We called them extinct," he said softly. "We erased their history, but they never died." Varen slammed his hand against the console. "We cannot allow panic. If the public learns that humanity survived, entire worlds will riot." "Too late," said another delegate. "The signal has already leaked to outer colonies. People are terrified." The Chancellor turned toward the Council guards. "Seal all transmissions. I want every channel under control." He looked back at Threx. "Tell me, Admiral, how bad can this get?" Threx's mechanical voice buzzed quietly. "If the Terrans truly awakened their fleet, then every world that took part in the purge will be their target. And that means all of us." Far across the stars, the Terran fleet was on the move. Commander Elias Hale stood at the command deck of the TDS Vanguard, his eyes locked on a rotating galaxy map. Red dots represented alien worlds, council strongholds that once funded Earth's destruction. "Prometheus," Hale said, "update fleet status. All ships operational. 38 major vessels, 92 escorts, fleet discipline restored. Crew morale high." Hale nodded. "Good. Begin scans for any remaining Terran transmissions. I want to know if anyone else made it out." "Affirmative." The AI paused for a moment, then added, "Commander, long-range sensors detect multiple Council broadcasts. Keywords: human threat, containment protocols, and eradication plan." Hale's jaw tightened. "They're already preparing for war." He turned to his officers. "Let them prepare. The Terran fleet doesn't start wars, but we end them." Back in the Council chamber, fear spread faster than reason. Some delegates demanded negotiation. Others wanted immediate destruction. The insectoid Zath slammed his claws against the table. "If we act now, we can send a preemptive strike before they regroup." Admiral Threx shook his head slowly. "Preemptive strike? You think we can destroy them again? You forget what they were. Humans are not conquerors, they are survivors. They adapt, they rebuild, and they remember, but they are few," shouted Zath. "Their fleet may be strong, but they are ancient. Their numbers are nothing compared to ours." Threx's cybernetic eye flickered. "You assume numbers will save you. When I fought them, they were outnumbered 10-1, yet they broke entire fleets in hours. They fight like no other species in the galaxy." The chamber fell silent again. The Chancellor leaned forward, voice low. "Then what do you suggest, Admiral?" Threx hesitated. "We must open a channel. Speak with them. Find out what they want before it's too late." At that very moment, deep space sensors detected a large energy signature. Something was moving toward the inner systems at impossible speed. A communications officer shouted, "Signal incoming! Unknown source." The Council screens flickered, and the lights dimmed. Then a holographic figure appeared in the center of the chamber, tall, human, wearing the black and silver uniform of the Terran Defense Force. His eyes burned with calm intensity. "Commander Elias Hale." "Leaders of the Galactic Council," he said, voice steady, cold, and powerful. "You declared my species extinct. You burned our home. You erased our history." The chamber was dead silent. Even the breathing of the delegates seemed to stop. Hale continued, "But we endured. We waited. We rebuilt beneath the ruins you left behind." He paused, looking directly at the Chancellor. "We have not come for conquest. We have come for truth. You will deliver all records of the Purge War and the destruction of Earth. You will answer for what you did." The hologram flickered slightly. "If you refuse," Hale said, "the fleet will come to you." The transmission ended. The lights returned, but the chamber remained silent. The Chancellor's face turned pale. "He knows everything." Zath slammed the table again. "We must attack now." Threx shook his head slowly. "You can try, but you won't win." Outside the Council's homeworld, fleets began to assemble. Hundreds of ships, frigates, destroyers, dreadnoughts rushed to form defensive lines. Worlds that once ignored each other now stood united in fear of one name: humanity. Civilian news channels tried to hide the truth, but rumors spread through every colony. The same message appeared across thousands of intercepted frequencies. "Earth remembers." Back aboard the Vanguard, Hale stood watching the live feed of the alien armadas mobilizing. Prometheus spoke. "They are preparing for war." "I know," Hale said quietly. "So are we. Your orders, Commander?" Hale's eyes narrowed as the Council's worlds glowed red on the map. "They took everything from us? But before we fight, they will know the truth. Set course for the Council's capital. Let them look into the eyes of the species they tried to erase." "Course set," replied Prometheus. All ships aligning for warp. The Terran fleet formed up in perfect precision, massive shadows gliding through the void. Energy fields shimmered as the fleet's engines charged. On the bridge, Hale whispered a single sentence under his breath. "Let them remember who we are." The stars outside blurred into streaks of blue light as the fleet jumped to hyperspace. Back in the Council chamber, alarms blared. "Detection!" shouted the officer. "Multiple warp signatures incoming, unknown class. They're coming straight for us." The Chancellor's voice broke into a whisper. "How many?" The officer swallowed. "All of them, sir." The holographic map filled with red. Dozens, hundreds of Terran ships dropping out of warp, forming a massive wall around the Council's homeworld. For the first time in millennia, the galaxy's rulers felt true fear. The stars above the Galactic Council's homeworld shimmered and then bent. Ripples of blue light tore through the night as dozens of Terran warships dropped out of hyperspace. Each vessel dwarfed the alien defense cruisers orbiting the planet. They were sleek, dark and angular, glowing with faint blue light from deep within their hulls. Every ship carried the same insignia. A broken planet surrounded by wings of fire, the symbol of Earth's rebirth. The alien defense networks went into overdrive. Planetary shields activated, fleets scrambled, and orbital cannons powered up. Alarms blared across cities and stations. Civilians rushed to shelters as giant screens in the sky displayed one terrifying line: "Unidentified human fleet detected." Inside the Council chamber, chaos reigned again. "They've surrounded us," shouted an officer. "They're broadcasting." "But the message is locked." "They're not firing yet. What are they waiting for?" High Chancellor Viren stood trembling, staring up at the main display. He could see the massive shadow of the Terran flagship, TDS Vanguard, hovering in orbit. Its hull gleamed like obsidian, lined with glowing patterns that pulsed with energy. Around it, smaller ships maintained a perfect formation, each moving like a single organism. Admiral Threx's cybernetic eye flickered. "They're not here to destroy us, not yet. They want us to see them. They're making a statement. Then what do we do?" the Chancellor asked quietly. Threx turned toward him. "You open the channel. Because if we don't talk, they'll make us listen another way." A signal cut through the planet's defenses, a secure transmission, overriding every Council frequency. The chamber's holographic projectors flickered to life once again. There stood Commander Elias Hale, the human who had spoken to them before. This time he wasn't alone. Behind him stood officers in dark uniforms, each with the same determined, quiet fury in their eyes. Hale spoke slowly, his voice calm but filled with power. "High Chancellor Viren, Council members, we meet face to face at last." The Chancellor tried to stand tall, but his voice cracked. "Commander Hale!" Humanity was believed lost. "The Council declared your species extinct." "You declared us extinct," Hale interrupted. His tone was icy, measured. "After burning our world and erasing every record of what you did. But you couldn't erase memory. You couldn't erase us." A murmur went through the Council floor. "We rebuilt in the shadows," Hale continued. "We endured the cold of forgotten worlds. We learned, adapted, and waited. And now we demand the truth. Threx took a step forward. What do you want from us? Hale's eyes locked onto his. Records, names, every file about the Purge War, every decision made to destroy Earth. We will uncover who gave the final order. Varen's voice trembled. You can't threaten the entire council. You're one species against 1,000 worlds. Hale's expression didn't change. Then you should pray that we don't become what you made us. The hologram flickered. The message ended. Silence filled the chamber. Zath, the insectoid delegate, slammed his clawed hands onto the table. They won't stop at records! They'll burn us all! The Chancellor turned sharply. And what would you have us do, attack? You saw what happened to the fleets that tried? Cowards! Hissed Zath. If we show weakness, the entire galaxy will turn on us. Trex's voice cut through the noise. If we attack, we guarantee war. And this time we may not survive it. The Chancellor hesitated, then whispered, Send a diplomatic signal. Tell them we agree to talk. But not here. We'll meet them in neutral space. Hours later, the message reached the TDS Vanguard. On the bridge, Commander Hale listened quietly as the Council's offer played. Prometheus, the ship's AI, spoke after a pause. They request negotiations at the neutral station, Arcos Prime. Probability of deception, 72%. Hale looked out at the glowing planet below. Let them try. We've faced worse odds before. He turned to his officers. Prepare a task group. 3 ships only. The rest stay in orbit, battle ready. If they want a meeting, we'll give them one. Meanwhile, far beneath the planet's surface, Council intelligence units were already moving. Hidden bunkers opened. Weapons long forbidden by galactic law were powered up. Dark energy reactors hummed to life. An alien officer whispered, They think we're afraid. Let them come to Arcos Prime. We'll end the human threat there. The other nodded. By the time they arrive, the trap will be ready. Back aboard the Vanguard, the human fleet prepared for the journey. Crews moved with quiet precision, running diagnostics and sealing armor plates. The ship's engines glowed like the heart of a star. Hale stood before the great viewing window, staring into the black void. His reflection looked older now, worn by grief, hardened by time. Prometheus spoke softly. Commander, may I ask a question? Go ahead. When we reach Arcos Prime and the Council refuses to surrender their truth, what then? Hale was silent for a long time. Then he said, Then we stop asking. He turned away, his expression unreadable. Plot the course. Course set. Jump in 30 seconds. On the Council world below, millions watched as the Terran ships turned away. Relief washed over the population. They thought the danger had passed. But the leaders in the chamber knew better. They're not gone, said Threx quietly. They're coming back. And when they do, it won't be for talks. The Chancellor looked out the window as the stars returned to calm. Then may the stars protect us all. In deep space, the TDS Vanguard and its escort ships entered warp, leaving behind a terrified world and heading toward the next chapter of humanity's long-awaited reckoning. The engines flared one final time before the fleet vanished into the darkness, and for the first time in thousands of years, the galaxy understood. The weight of the ancient warning carved into the ruins of Earth. We are not gone. We are waiting. Arcos Prime, a massive neutral trade hub floating above a dying star. Its outer rings glittered with the lights of thousands of ships, merchants, smugglers, and envoys from every known species. The station was supposed to be a place of peace, a sanctuary where no weapon was ever drawn, but not today. Deep beneath the shining docking bays, hidden turrets waited. Energy cores pulsed like beating hearts. The Council's secret task force, Operation Eclipse, was ready. Dozens of cloaked warships drifted in the asteroid field behind the station, their weapons charged. The plan was simple: lure the humans in under the flag of peace, then annihilate their leadership in a single strike. Admiral Threx had tried to stop it. He'd warned the Council that attacking first would be suicide. But the Chancellor had overruled him. Humanity must be erased, Varen had said coldly, before their fury spreads. Now, The humans were coming. 3 Terran ships emerged from hyperspace, the TDS Vanguard, flanked by the Sentinel and Raven. They glided silently toward the enormous station. Their black hulls reflected the light of the dying sun, like shadows of gods returning from the grave. Inside the Vanguard's bridge, Commander Elias Hale stood calmly, his gaze fixed on the holographic display of Arcos Prime. Prometheus, the ship's AI, reported in its calm voice. Scans show multiple power surges across the station's lower decks, energy signatures inconsistent with standard maintenance. Hale narrowed his eyes. A trap, then, most likely, Commander. Shall we withdraw? He shook his head slowly. No, let them play their hand first. His second officer, Captain Renna Sol, frowned. Sir, if this is an ambush, we could lose everything. Hale looked at her with a faint smile. We already lost everything once. That's why they can't hurt us now. He turned to the crew. Maintain approach. Shields at full. Weapons cold. The Council's representative, High Chancellor Veren, watched from the command center aboard Arcos Prime. Holograms of the human ships floated before him. They came, he whispered. Almost in disbelief, General Kraith, commander of Operation Eclipse, stood beside him, armored and expressionless. They're walking right into the kill zone, Chancellor. One word from you, and the human threat ends here. Veren hesitated. He looked at the screen, at the calm face of Elias Hale. Something about the man's eyes unsettled him, the quiet certainty, the lack of fear. Wait until they dock, Veren said. We'll destroy them once they're inside the station. The humans entered docking orbit. Massive clamps extended, locking the Vanguard to Arcos Prime's central hub. A small boarding team, Hale, Captain Sol, and 10 Terran Marines, walked through the pressurized corridor into the alien station. The walls were polished silver, the air sterile, the silence heavy. Stay alert, Hale whispered. If this goes bad, we fight our way out. They entered the Council's diplomatic hall, a vast circular chamber lined with alien envoys. Veren stood at the far end, flanked by armored guards. Commander Hale, the Chancellor said, forcing a diplomatic smile. Welcome to Arcos Prime. The galaxy has awaited your return. Hale's voice was calm. The galaxy tried to erase us, Chancellor. Yet here we are. An uneasy silence fell. We did what we had to do, Veren said softly. Your species was a threat. You destroyed worlds, ignored every treaty. We defended ourselves. Hale interrupted sharply. And when you couldn't defeat us, you chose to burn our home. You call that peace? The words hit like thunder. Some of the alien delegates looked away in shame. Hale stepped forward. We came for one thing, truth. The order that destroyed Earth came from this council. We want the name. Veren's lips trembled. You don't understand what you're asking. A flicker of movement appeared in Hale's visor display. Prometheus' voice echoed in his ear. Commander, multiple power spikes detected beneath your position. Weapons charging. Recommend immediate evacuation. Hale's expression turned to stone. He looked at Veren. So this is your answer. The floor shook violently. As the first explosion tore through the station, hidden cannons emerged from the walls, firing plasma bolts into the chamber. Screams filled the air. The alien delegates scattered in panic as human Marines dove for cover. Hale shouted, "Shields up!" A blue energy barrier shimmered around the Terran team, deflecting the blasts. They returned fire with precision. Short, sharp bursts that melted enemy armor. Outside the station, chaos erupted. Cloaked Council warships decloaked and unleashed volleys of plasma fire toward the Vanguard. The space around Arcos Prime became a storm of explosions, but the Terran fleet was ready. The Sentinel rotated its massive cannons and fired once, a blinding beam of white light that tore through 3 alien ships in a single shot. The Raven deployed fighter drones that swarmed like angry hornets, striking enemy engines with pinpoint accuracy. Inside the Vanguard, Prometheus took command. Counterattack initiated. Engaging full defensive protocols, hundreds of missile bays opened across the Terran hulls. A single synchronized launch filled the void with burning trails of fire. Alien fleets broke formation. Entire squadrons vanished in bursts of light. The humans fought with terrifying precision. Ancient, awakened fury unleashed upon those who betrayed them. Back inside the station, Hale's team fought their way through smoke and fire. Prometheus, he called. Status of fleet engagement. Enemy losses severe. Arcos Prime's core reactor destabilizing. Recommend immediate evacuation. Understood. Lock onto our signal. We're coming home. He grabbed Varanus, injured but alive, and dragged him toward the exit. You're coming with us. Varan struggled weakly. You can't stop the Council. They'll unite against you. Hale's eyes burned with quiet fury. Then they'll learn what uniting against humanity really means. The boarding corridor sealed behind them as the vanguard detached from the burning station. Arcos Prime's reactor exploded moments later, the blast lighting up the void like a newborn star. As the fleet regrouped in the darkness, Hale stood on the command deck, looking at the burning wreck of the station through the viewport. Prometheus, he said, voice cold and steady. Send this message to all known frequencies. Ready? Hale spoke, every word carrying the weight of 6,000 years of silence. To the Council and all who serve it, humanity is awake. You tried to bury us, but we have returned. We remember everything, and we are coming for the truth. The message spread across the stars. Civilizations across the galaxy watched in silence, and in that silence, every species remembered why humanity had once been feared. The galaxy trembled. Across 1,000 worlds, every screen, every relay, and every comm beacon carried the same haunting message. Commander Elias Hale's voice, echoing through the void. Humanity is awake. You tried to bury us. We remember everything, and we are coming for the truth. The message spread faster than any weapon. Within hours, it reached every major government, every fleet admiral, and every corner of the Galactic Council's influence. The reaction was chaos. Worlds that had never even seen a human now spoke the word Terran in fear. News feeds called it the return of the extinct. Rumors claimed the humans had fleets hidden in every nebula, that they had weapons that could destroy stars. And in the council hall, panic turned into war. High Chancellor Varan stood before the remaining council members, his arm bandaged and face pale. The holograms of alien generals flickered around him. They destroyed Arcos Prime, one shouted. They murdered delegates. Varan slammed his hand on the table. You planted the weapons. You betrayed the peace meeting. They retaliated. They're humans. Another voice screeched. Retaliation is all they know. The hall erupted in shouts until Admiral Threx's booming voice silenced them. Enough! This council has spent centuries pretending we are untouchable. But we provoked the most dangerous species the galaxy has ever known. Now we face the consequence. His mechanical eye flickered as he stared at Varan. We must prepare for war. Now. Within days, the Galactic War Directive was signed. Thousands of warships mobilized. Fleets from 20 species joined together under a single command, an armada unlike any seen before. Their mission was clear: find and destroy the human fleet before it grows. They called it Operation Silence. Far away, in the dark sector near the starless void, the Terran Defense Fleet gathered. Hundreds of ships floated in tight formation. Sleek destroyers, massive carriers, and dreadnoughts the size of cities. Engineers worked day and night repairing old hulls, upgrading systems, and awakening new AI cores. Commander Hale watched from the command deck of the TDS Vanguard as the last of the cryobays emptied. More humans were awakening. Scientists, tacticians, pilots, all once thought lost to history. Prometheus, Hale said quietly. In status of fleet readiness? 78%, Commander. All remaining vessels from the inner asteroid ring are now online. Estimated combat strength equivalent to 4 Council armadas. Hale nodded. Not enough. Not yet. His second-in-command, Captain Renasol, stepped forward. We can't win a full war against the entire galaxy, sir. Hale turned to her, eyes sharp. We don't have to win, Captain. We only have to make them remember. In a hidden chamber aboard the Vanguard, Varen sat under guard, a prisoner of the humans. He looked weak now, the confidence gone. Hale entered the cell, his boots echoing on the metal floor. You had your chance, Hale said coldly. You could have told the truth. Varen looked up slowly. The truth would destroy everything the Council built. Then maybe it deserves to fall. Varen's eyes filled with fear. You don't understand, Commander. The Purge War. It wasn't only the Council's doing. It was, before he could finish, alarms blared. The ship shook violently. Commander, Prometheus reported, multiple enemy fleets emerging from hyperspace. Council Armada detected, over 900 ships. Hale turned sharply. How did they find us? Unknown. Transmission leak probable. He grabbed Varen by the collar. You gave them our coordinates. Varen shook his head desperately. I swear I didn't. They must have traced my signal from the Council channel. Hale dropped him and stormed toward the bridge. Then it's war. Space exploded with light. The alien armada surrounded the human fleet, massive battleships, cruisers and carriers from a dozen different species. The void filled with the hum of charged plasma weapons. Admiral Threx stood on his flagship, the Scion of Unity, and gave the order. Fire at will! Hundreds of plasma beams streaked across the void, lighting the darkness like a storm. They struck the outer Terran ships, shields flaring, armor plates shattering, but the humans didn't retreat. Return fire, Hale ordered. The Vanguard's cannons roared. Massive railguns launched tungsten rounds at near-light speed, punching through multiple alien vessels in a single shot. The Raven deployed its drone swarms again, black metallic shapes darting between enemy ships. Planting explosives on engines and reactor cores, explosions rippled through the Council Armada. Commander, Prometheus reported, our right flank is collapsing. Enemy boarding craft approaching. Let them come, Hale said. Seal bulkheads and engage internal defenses. Across the ship's corridors, human soldiers prepared for close combat, rail rifles charged, powered armor glowing faintly blue. When the aliens breached the hull, they were met with the fury of soldiers who had waited 6,000 years to fight again. In the middle of the chaos, Captain Saul turned to Hale. Sir, the Sentinel reports critical damage. Its reactor is unstable. Hale's jaw tightened. Evacuate the crew. They can't. Reactor controls are offline. A voice came through the comm. The Sentinel's captain, her tone steady despite the explosions. Commander Hale, tell Earth's children we fought well. And then the Sentinel detonated. A blinding white flash consumed half the battlefield, vaporizing dozens of Council ships in an instant. The shockwave shook every vessel nearby. Even the Vanguard trembled. Prometheus spoke softly. The Sentinel is gone. Hale's fists clenched. Then we make them pay. The human fleet regrouped, their formation tightening around the Vanguard. Hale's voice echoed through every channel. We are Terrans. We are not extinct. We are the fire they tried to smother. And today the galaxy will remember who we are. His words reignited the fleet. The Terran ships unleashed their full arsenal, plasma lances, hypervelocity torpedoes, and dark matter warheads. Alien ships shattered, their debris burning against the black. The battle raged for hours. Thousands died, but by the time it ended, the Council Armada had broken. The remaining ships fled into hyperspace, leaving only wreckage and silence behind as the debris drifted around them. Hale stood before the stars, the reflection of the dying fleets shining in his eyes. Prometheus, he said quietly, transmit the battle logs to all frequencies. Transmission ready. Hale spoke one final message. To every world that still remembers Earth, this is the beginning. Humanity fights not for revenge, but for remembrance. The galaxy thought we were gone. They were wrong. The message ended, spreading across the void like a promise, far away. In a secret council facility hidden within a nebula, dark figures watched the transmission in silence. One of them turned to the others and said, "Activate Project Oblivion. If the humans want the truth, we'll give them a war that will burn the stars themselves." The galaxy stood on the edge of fire. After the Battle of the Dark Sector, silence ruled for only 3 days. Then across the stars, Project Oblivion was unleashed. Entire systems went dark overnight. Sounds flickered and died. Space itself twisted into storms of energy that consumed anything nearby. Every fleet that had once hunted humanity now fell back in terror. They had unleashed something far worse than the Terrans, a weapon so ancient, even the oldest records spoke of it only in whispers, but the truth was more terrifying still. Project Oblivion was human. On board the TDS Vanguard, Commander Elias Hale stood in the dim light of the command deck, eyes locked on the holographic map of the galaxy. Systems were vanishing one by one, marked in red. "Prometheus," Hale said quietly, "confirm the data." "Is it true?" "Confirmed," replied the AI. "Project Oblivion traces back to pre-purge Terran science. It was a failsafe. A last resort defense network designed before Earth's fall." Captain Renasol's eyes widened. "You're saying the Council just reactivated our own weapon against us?" "Yes, Captain. And it does not distinguish friend from foe." Hale clenched his fists. "How many systems so far?" 37. At current rate, total galactic collapse within one cycle. Silence filled the bridge. Every officer stared at the dying stars on the display, thousands of light-years away. Inside the Council's hidden base in the Red Mist Nebula, High Chancellor Varen stood before the surviving Council members. His face was pale, his voice trembling. This weapon was supposed to end the Terran fleet, not destroy entire worlds. Admiral Threx slammed a clawed hand against the table. "You were warned! The humans built weapons beyond our understanding, and you woke them." One of the scientists looked up, eyes hollow. Project Oblivion was built by Earth's defense network to ignite dying stars as shields, but without human command codes. It's uncontrollable. Varen stared at him. "You mean it will destroy everyone?" The scientist nodded slowly. "Every world, every fleet. Unless humanity stops it." Back aboard the Vanguard, Hale stood before the great viewport, the stars reflecting in his eyes. He whispered, "We built the monster they now fear, and only we can kill it." Prometheus's voice echoed softly. "Commander, I have located the control core, deep within the ruins of Sol System. The beacon of Earth still emits a faint signal." Hale's breath caught. "Earth!" He turned sharply. "Set course for Sol. We go home." The crew erupted into motion. Engines roared, and across the Terran fleet lights flickered to life. After 6,000 years, the remnants of humanity were going home, not to reclaim, but to save what was left. As the fleet prepared for jump, Captain Sol approached Hale. "Sir, do you think Earth survived?" Hale looked at her for a long moment. "I don't know. But if there's even a chance, we'll find it. Jump in 60 seconds, Prometheus announced. The stars bent and vanished as the fleet entered hyperspace, streaks of blue and white blurring into infinity. But they weren't alone. In the shadows of hyperspace, dark shapes followed, autonomous dreadnoughts built by Project Oblivion itself. They hunted the signal of Terran AI, drawn to destroy their creators. When the Vanguard emerged near Sol, everyone fell silent. Before them floated the ruins of a once golden system. Mars was cracked in half, the moon shattered, and the Earth, broken but still glowing faintly beneath a shell of storming clouds. The Vanguard scanners pulsed. "Signal confirmed," Prometheus said. "Oblivion core located beneath Earth's mantle. Activation time 6 hours. 6 hours until what?" Hale asked. "Until the core collapses the Sol Star and triggers a chain reaction across the galactic network." Hale turned to his officers. "Then this ends here." The fleet formed above Earth, descending through the turbulent skies. The planet's atmosphere roared against their hulls. Lightning danced across the clouds as if the world itself was awakening. Hale and his strike team boarded drop pods and launched toward the surface, toward the heart of the old Terran command bunker. When the pods landed, the air was thick with ash and silence. Cities lay in ruin, half buried under centuries of dust. But beneath the rubble, the ancient bunker still pulsed with power. They forced the door open. Inside, human technology older than memory still glowed, untouched by time. Prometheus's voice guided them through the comms. Follow the beacon signal. The core lies within the central vault. As they entered, they saw it, a massive black sphere suspended in a web of energy. Inside it, flashes of starlight moved like living fire. Captain Sol whispered, "It's beautiful." Hale shook his head. "It's death." He stepped forward, linking his wrist console to the control terminal. Prometheus override the core's protocol. Attempting. Static filled the air. The sphere pulsed violently. "Warning," the AI said. "Defense subroutines active." "It's resisting shutdown." Suddenly, a holographic figure appeared before them, human but not alive. It was a preserved intelligence. "My name is Dr. Kieran Vale," the hologram said. "If you are hearing this, Earth has fallen. The Council has destroyed everything we loved. This is our vengeance, Project Oblivion. Once activated, no one will ever harm humanity again." Hale stared at it, horrified. "You built this to end everyone?" The hologram smiled faintly. "If the galaxy burns, it will remember who lit the match." The bunker trembled. Outside, the skies turned blood red as the core began to destabilize. Prometheus spoke sharply. "Commander, we have minutes before total system collapse." Hale gritted his teeth. "Then we finish what they started, the right way." He slammed his hand on the console. "Prometheus, transfer your AI core into the network. Override all commands. Use my genetic key. Warning. That will destroy my core. And you, Commander." Hale looked up at the swirling energy above. "Someone has to end this," Captain Sol's voice cracked. "Elias, don't." He turned to her, smiling faintly. "It's all right. We were meant to protect the stars, not burn them." He placed his palm on the terminal. "Do it." Light filled the chamber. Prometheus code surged into the core, merging human logic with ancient fury. Systems screamed as the overload began. "Oblivion core neutralizing," said the AI. "Energy release imminent." Hale looked toward the ceiling, toward the ruined world above him. "For Earth," he whispered. The core exploded. A brilliant wave of light swept across the planet, then outward through the solar system. It wasn't destruction, it was rebirth. The pulse deactivated every Oblivion weapon across the galaxy. Stars reignited. Systems came back online, but the Vanguard signal faded. Days later, the remaining human fleet orbited Earth in silence. The core was gone. The planet below was scarred, but alive. Captain Sol stood on the bridge, staring at the blue-green glow below. "Prometheus," she whispered. The AI's voice returned, soft and distant. "Commander Hale's consciousness is preserved within the core's new matrix. He lives within Earth itself." Tears filled her eyes. Then humanity truly came home. Across the galaxy, the message spread again. Not of fear, but of awe. The humans saved the stars. The ones we called monsters were the ones who saved us all. And as peace slowly returned to the galaxy, every world looked toward the small blue planet that refused to die.